we have a brand new feature. And I know I keep saying this feature is awesome every single time we get something, but you know what? It is really awesome. Now, do you know when you use this blurb and you have this gap here that we couldn't control? And the only way to control this was using CSS, because what we would have to do is to come over here and then we go to this module, and then over here on the advanced, we would go to CSS, module settings, and then we would go in and add any CSS code here if we wanted to adjust the padding or even the margins of this title here. But you know what? Things have changed now. There's a brand new feature which allows us to go in and really customize every single bit of any module. So let me show you how it works. So if for this particular example, and obviously this feature that we're talking about is not only exclusive to this, I will be showing you even more examples, right? So if I were to go in here and start making some changes to this, so for example, I select this like that, you're going to notice that we have this new icon here, and this little icon here is called toggle options, right? This is pretty much everywhere, not everywhere, but in most places, right? So this allows us to go in and make changes to any additional places. So for example, if I were to go in here, you'll notice that I can add a background, sizing, spacing, border, blah, 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 right? Isn't that cool? So let's test this. So let's say I just want to work on the spacing of this item. I can just select spacing. And remember the issue that I said I had, which is trying to move this closer to the image. Now I can go into the title text, and if I scroll down, you're going to notice that spacing has been added, whereas before spacing was just here. So now we can go to the specific item, which is the heading now, and I can go in and say, okay, you know what? Margin top, I am going to set this to 10 pixels. You see that? Now it has moved up. But if I want to even make it closer, I can say minus 10, and you see it has gone closer. Or I can even say minus 100, and now the whole thing, moves up. But my point is, we are able to go in and make a change to this particular item. Now, you know what makes it even really, really exciting is the fact that when you go in, you can also use your design system to add your sizes. Now, let me show you. So let's say this margin top here, I didn't want to use pixels because obviously that's not the right way of designing. So I would go in here into the dynamic content like that, and now I have all my spacing. So I can say spacing extra small, and I've just added that. I can even go in and say large. So now I'm able to go in and add clamp based spacing based on my design system, and this is really, really awesome. Now let me give you more examples. Let's say we want to work with with some text. So I'm going to start off with a heading, and I want to show you something that really frustrated me. So I have my heading there. I'm going to go in and add some text. Okay, just like that. So I'm going to go in and set this to heading 1, or let's say heading 2, and this is going to be my normal paragraph like that. So right now by default we have a gap here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and go into elements. I mean, this will make sense in a moment. If I go into column, so this is my heading and text, right? So in the column here, if I were to remove all the spacing and make it gap 0, you're going to notice that everything now is closer to, together. So I can activate this particular item, which is the heading, right? And then I can go to the heading text and activate whatever I want. I can even add a border. I can even add spacing. I can even add background. So as soon as I activate them here, they are now going to be available on the bottom here. Look at that. So now I can say, okay, on the spacing top, I want to add a margin, let's say medium, okay? And I can also say margin bottom, I want to add, let's say small, like that. Now, because I have more options to work with, I can go in here and let's say, what other options do we have? We have a border. I can go into the border and add a specific border. So let's say it's 1 pixel. Now, do you see that my border is in there now? I can even add my border color, and the colors that come up are colors from my design system, like that. So we have a lot of flexibility now. Now, it doesn't just end there. There's even more options. So at any given time, you want to come in and let's say you want to add something else, you can just click here. And this time, let's say I want to add animation. I can just do that. And now I can animate this. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to head over to animation, and I can make this slide, fade, bounce. Now the whole thing is bouncing. Whereas before, it wasn't as easy as that. You see that? Now I can zoom. But you see, it doesn't just end there. When we make all these decisions, they can be saved to a preset, which is fantastic. So for example, let's say all the changes that I've done to this heading, I want this as a preset. I can just come over here and say new preset from current styles. Okay. And then over here on the preset settings, I'll give this preset a name, save it, and then you now have animation on that particular preset, which is really cool. Now, can you imagine the possibilities now that we have with this options that we have now? We are now able to add slight micro animations to all our modules. And not only that, in particular items, which we couldn't do before. And this is really, really powerful. Now let's take a look again and see what else we have. So if I select this and I go into the design tab, and by the way, it's always going to be on the design tab. So it's not everywhere, because you can see here on layout, it's not there, but it is on text. It's not on heading text, because heading text is not a part of this, right? It's not on sizing. Right? It's not on spacing, it's not on border. And as we go through, you can see that it's not on everything. But when we go in and add, let's say, different types of modules. So for example, we've done the blurb, haven't we? So if we go to the button now, and this one here is very, very interesting. I'm going to duplicate this button here, and where is duplicate? Oh, here we go. Right. So let's say on the bottom button here, I want to make some changes to it. I can come over here to design, and then I'm going to go to the button. Right? So we know we are limited with the button. For example, we can make it a full width button, right? We are stuck with this unless we go in and add some CSS. So if I click on this little icon here on the toggle options, right? You see that we have background, border, all activated by default. So now when I go to my button, look at everything that I have here. But you see, what makes this even more exciting is we have sizing, okay? So button width, I can always go in and say 100%. Like that. And now our button is full width. So this now has transformed a problem that that I had, where I had to make this go full width by adding some CSS. And sometimes it's very annoying. You just want to go in and just create your buttons and that's it. So now that I have this button here, I can go in and create a preset on this button. So I'm going to say new preset from current styles. Okay, and then I'm going to say button full. Or yeah, button full. I think that works. So I'm going to say button full. Okay, like that. And then I am going to save. So now, as I am designing, right? So let's say I go in, add another button here. There we go. I can make sure that's selected. And then I look for my button full, which is here, and boom. You see that? I can now build some buttons which I can add to my design system, where I don't have to stress so much about the CSS and all of that. I can do it within the actual item, which is really, really cool. So with this now, we're able to improve all our layouts and make them even better. Now, what makes this even really cool is I was planning to update all the design system, all the modules. And now that I have this, I don't even have to use CSS. I can just go in and use this latest feature, which is really, really cool. And also, I'm going to be adding an extra module to Divi 5 Mastery. And by the way, Divi 5 Mastery Course 2 is a course that teaches you about Divi 5. This course is really powerful. As you can see, it's got 1,275 students. As we speak, I've got quite a lot of lessons to add to this, and I'm going to be adding all these extra features to the lesson so you can use it in a very optimal way. Now, this course only costs $37, and once you purchase it, you are going to get all the updates, all the latest lessons absolutely free. You just pay once, and now you have access to how Divi 5 works and how to use all these extra features, especially in a design workflow situation. So this is a really powerful course, $37. The link to that will be in the video description below. Go ahead and check it out. Anyway, guys, I know I haven't covered a lot in regards to this feature. I am going to be using this a lot more so you can see when you can apply it. But this is a very, very powerful feature. Let me know what you guys think in the comments box below. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.